I think a lot of parents don't approach the children with the question because they don't want to hear the answer.
How do you know when someone is in trouble?
People don't see the scratches on your brain. They don't see the scratches on your heart.
Teenagers already struggling to navigate a difficult time of life, then forced into isolation during a frightening pandemic.
COVID has definitely struck some chords that were never supposed to be plucked.
Torn from the support of their social circles.
I feel like a lot of adults don't really understand that our phones, for a lot of us, have been our only contact.
During a crisis that has challenged everyone's coping skills.
I think we definitely live in an overwhelming time.
But New Hampshire's young people do not want to suffer in silence.
Every time that we do talk about it, we hope that we can help somebody else.
They are crafting their own message about mental health and spreading the word.
Sometimes just a split second could help save a life.
This is a WMUR special report. COVID-19 impact, helping kids cope.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Jennifer Vaughn.
And I'm Tom Griffith. Before COVID-19, suicide was the second leading cause of death among teenagers and young Americans.
We don't yet know the numbers for 2020, but New Hampshire's health commissioner says the state has seen an unprecedented need for mental health help among children and adolescents since the start of the pandemic.
The good news is that young people are aware of those struggles in themselves and in their peers. Several agreed to talk candidly with News 9 about the challenges of staying mentally and emotionally healthy.
They opened up to our Jennifer Crompton.
Everything has shifted. Even me, I'm usually pretty happy, very positive, upbeat, but I've had rough months.
It's been over a year since the world our young people knew came to a standstill. Schools switching to remote instruction, counselors too.
You know, anxiety and decreasing anxiety is a specialty of mine as a school counselor. And so I really had to unpack all the tools.
Socially isolated. Classmates reduced to 1-inch Zoom squares. Technology, their lifeline.
I feel like a lot of adults don't really understand that our phones, for a lot of us, have been our only contact with a lot of our friends.
We've started to adapt to things, especially technology based. And as teens, we kind of maybe get that more quicker than adults. And often that's seen as more a time suck rather than something that can be a really important and maybe creative facet for kids who don't like sports, don't like other things, and can really utilize those things.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that while parents may see students on phones as oh my God, they're just trying to disassociate or not be around us. For some of us, that's our only connection with our friends, especially if people are remote or if we don't see them as much. That's how we stay in touch. And it honestly helps connect us to the world as well.
Frank, about mental health and why we should talk about it.
Personally, I would think that if you haven't seen your child cry in the past year, then you don't know what your child's feeling. Because I think most of us have cried to our parents. And if you are a parent that hasn't seen your child cry, there's something off.
I think that struggles are valid, and validating those emotions in your son or daughter or whatever they identify as, I think is really important as a parent. And just knowing that their stresses and their stuff in school may not be seen that big to you, but it's very important to them, and that it's important to validate those emotions.
Sometimes it helps not to have a presence of are you okay? Are you okay? What's wrong? It helps to be able to push through our own struggles and come out stronger on the other end. But if you think that you genuinely do see your child struggling, starting to fail their classes, not really caring, I think that is definitely where you should step in.
Pressures that continue with schools back in person.
So if you are feeling isolated or you're not feeling the way you used to, are you going to get the help you need, or are you going to stay and you feel like this isolation is almost this safety bubble? And I've definitely felt kind of that struggle of, well, now my comfort might be staying inside more. Well, how do I get back to that place where I was more comfortable going out and reaching out and feeling like my support system was not being in my room, but was the people around me in my classroom?
Taking on the uncomfortable.
Yeah, just starting with the conversation about how you're feeling, just in general, you're most likely eventually, if they are not feeling great, going to get to that point where you're going to start talking about suicide and the stigma around it, and then making sure if they do have suicidal thoughts, where to go to next.
When you worry about somebody who might be feeling suicidal, the course of action is to ask them if they're feeling like hurting themselves.
If you do kind of are able to ask straight up, you shouldn't be afraid of what the answer will be, because either it will be no or it will be yes. And if it's a yes, then it's about where do you go from here? And there are people who you talk to.
So parents are seeing those struggles in their kids. One mother talked to WMUR's Amy Covino about the day her daughter was ready to give up.
She expressed to me that she did not want to live anymore, and she had been cutting, and just I knew in my body, I could feel in my body that this wasn't a threat.
Angela Pickowitz assertively, tenaciously reached out for help for her 14-year-old daughter. She came up empty. She estimates she called 75 psychiatrists, psychologists, and therapists in a 50-mile radius.
Their voicemails just say, I'm sorry, I'm not accepting new clients, or you call and they say, I'm sorry, but we don't deal with that age range.
Angela says the cutting, the despondency, the suicidal thoughts all emerged during the pandemic. She describes her daughter pre-pandemic as vibrant, athletic, engaged with the family, who suddenly started sleeping more, withdrawing.
It's my belief that the length that this has gone on has made a tremendous impact on their mental health.
Angela's daughter was admitted to a New Hampshire hospital into what's called the Annex. Angela says 8 other children were also in the Annex in mental health crisis. It was a week-long holding pattern until a mental health facility had a bed available.
There's no place for these teens who are feeling this way, and it's a scary place if you've never been there. Why aren't people talking about this like they're talking about the coronavirus? Because it is that big.
Parents aren't the only ones ringing the bell. Teachers are seeing it too. The technical savvy to flip to remote learning was as simple as 2 + 2 for Ms. Govan's students. It's the emotional social component that stalled, and the deficits are apparent already.
Just in terms of socializing with each other, it's almost like they've forgotten what it means to talk to another person, and how do I identify what that other person is feeling, and how do I approach that person if I can't fully identify what their emotions are.
Educators call it social emotional learning and say ideally it happens in person and closer than 6 feet.
We encourage them to talk about it, because a big part of social emotional learning is being able to express your feelings in a way that others will be able to understand it and in an appropriate way.
There have been across the board reports of increased stress, anxiety, and depression, particularly across the lifespan, but particularly hard-hitting youth and young adults.
What is surprising and hopeful is that preliminary CDC data for 2020 reveals a decline in suicide rates. Ken Norton is wary of celebrating the decline too soon, but one theory is that mental illness is part of the everyday narrative surrounding health. Talking about it is less stigmatized, and that is a win. Norton says keep the conversations flowing with open-ended questions.
What are you looking forward to? What are you not looking forward to? Well, what have you missed the most during this past year by working remotely? What do you think you've done well? What do you think you haven't done well?
With summer vacation right around the corner, Ms. Govain has an assignment for parents. Seek out ways to get kids outside with their peers and even a change of scenery.
Any chance that they have to go somewhere else in terms of a road trip, any form of safe travel, a safe summer camp, anything that they can do to socialize, especially during the summer, is what these kids need.
Angela Pickowitz says her daughter is doing well now and has a weekly therapist appointment. She wants mental health to get the attention that COVID has been grabbing for a year and a half.
My plan is to do something to help change this. I wouldn't voluntarily ever send my child there. there's no other resource. There's no other there's nothing else you can do.
Amy Covino, WMUR News 9.
Some parents who know the anguish of losing a child to suicide hope their pain can save other families.
I needed to share his voice by simply helping others.
Plus, teens share the things helping them get through their darkest moments.
What I feel is this new hopefulness for the future.
There are many places that offer help for anyone who's struggling, and many are working to expand their services in the face of this increased need. You can see several of those places scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and you'll find more information on our website and mobile app. We'll be right back.